Alright, I'm ready to debunk some good theories.
You know the story of Cubone, right?
No.
They're Charmanders. Charmanders that never had their tails lit because their mother Charizard died.
Welcome to another video, folks. Today we're going to be debunking very famous theories about Pokemon. And the first theory is probably the most well-known and most viewed theory out there is, I'm not even joking, that Cubone is a Charmander, but with the Charizard skull on it. Now, don't get me wrong, I understand the resemblance, okay? I can see that the skull looks pretty similar to a Charizard's, but there's one tiny itsy bitsy lemon squitty problem here. And that is when a Charmander doesn't have a fire lit on its tail, which clearly Cubone doesn't have, it freaking dies. It dies. How the hell is a Cubone even alive then? How? No, give me some actual answers. These podcasters probably never watched Pokemon in their whole entire lives, and they're spewing out nonsense. I swear to God, they're reading a script or something. It's so freaking dumb, bro. Wait, I'm reading a script. But even if you took away the fact that a Charmander literally dies if it doesn't have a flame lit on its tail, a better way to show you that it's impossible that this theory is true is because Cubone freaking evolves into Marowak. Do you know what Charmander evolves into? Charmeleon. Like, that doesn't even make sense. If a Cubone is just a Charmander with a skull on it, a Cubone would just evolve into a Charmeleon. That doesn't freaking make sense. It's just a Charmander with a skull on it. What? It's just so frustrating because one single Google search debunks a whole theory. A Cubone wears its mother's skull on its head, and when it evolves into a Marowak, the skull fuses with the Cubone's own skull. Now, when that Cubone presumably dies during childbirth, a new Cubone puts the skull on, which will one day fuse its skull. It isn't like Pokemon mysteriously never said anything about the lore or anything. It's quite the opposite, actually. It just pisses me off that people could literally make the stupidest theories and get millions and millions of views on it without using 1% of common sense that God gave them. Anyway, moving on from this dumb theory, let's move to the next. The second theory is to answer a question of why there isn't many adults in the Pokemon anime or games. Basically, people are saying that there was this brutal and bloody war that utilized the awesome power of Pokemon, and the repercussions of this war were endless, including loss of many adult lives. I'm telling you right now, this theory must have been made by ChatGPT. Actually, no, that's an insult to ChatGPT if I'm gonna be honest here. The reason this theory doesn't make sense is because it's a children's anime. It's a children's game. There's obviously not going to be as many adults. It's simply made for kids to want to watch the show more and relate. It's the same reason adults don't want to watch a series where the main character is 9. It's just cringe. You can't relate to the main character if he's 9. A child will naturally want to see people his age and relate to it. That's what causes the longevity of one series. And this doesn't exclude the fact that there's a pretty abundance of adult characters in Pokemon, like Mommy Cynthia. This isn't even supposed to be a theory. It's just cringe attempt to make a children's show darker than it is. Now that I debunked that theory, that isn't really one to begin with, let's move on to theory number 3. And oh boy, this one is just amazing, truly fascinating. This theory suggests that Misty died. Oh boy, this is just another attempt to make a show darker than it is, but I'll give you the evidence to back up this story. In episode 24 of the anime, Misty is licked by Sabrina's Haunter. The thing is though, numerous Pokédex entries of the Pokemon suggest that a lick from a Haunter is actually fatal. As such, it stands to reason that Misty would have died soon after the fatal lick. Now this isn't technically false. A lick from a Haunter will kill you, as many Pokédex entries say, or you could even Google it too. They go on by saying the reason Misty in the anime is still alive, and this is where it gets me, is because it was Ash all along. It was just him coping with the grief of the loss of his friend, so he took her place and challenged all these gyms during the anime. which just doesn't make any sense. I'm telling you, a lot of scriptwriters aren't gonna read the Pokédex entries, and if you guys don't know what Pokédex entries is, it's just details about the Pokemon pretty much, and their unique story or abilities. So once you're in the thousands of Pokemons, it's very hard to keep track of each individual one and its own abilities and storylines. It's like, especially back then when they pretty much didn't have access to the web like we do, it was very hard to track down each individual detail about the Pokemon. So it most likely was a simple mishap on the anime's part. Again, Misty appeared in hundreds of episodes after this specific episode where she gets licked, pause, was aired. Theory number 4 is quite a big theory that has a pretty large fan base supporting it, and it's none other than Giovanni potentially being Ash's long-lost father. Now, I do gotta admit, it's not a bad theory, and it's a bland trope that wouldn't be surprising if Pokemon actually used this. We always see the main character who finds out the big villain in the series is none other than their father, so I'll give it some level of attention. Now, what does give this theory some backbone to it is that Ash's mom so happened to be in a relationship with Giovanni in the past, and also joined Team Rocket around that time too. So it's probable that Delia, Ash's mother, told Ash that his father was on a long journey as a Pokemon trainer just because she was too sad to admit he's a bad guy. Similar to when your mom says, "Don't worry dear, he's just gonna get the milk," and he never returns. Now, what I do find interesting is that many people will disregard this theory because they don't look alike. The hair color of Giovanni and Ash don't match. Giovanni has brown hair and Ash has black. But in defense to the theory, this technically isn't true. You see, the anime actually changed Giovanni's hair color, and his actual hair color in the games is in fact black. So this is probably the only theory I think has some potential. Again, if it isn't actually very true or anything, I don't have insane evidence, but if you actually look at his hair color and his past with Ash's mom, I think it's a pretty decent theory. Now, the final theory is that Ash is in a coma from jacking off too much. Hold up, let him cook. This isn't a bad theory, actually. Now, I'll be honest, in the end, this is a kid's show. This isn't some Attack on Titan level storyline or anything, and I heavily doubt the writers of the anime actually did all this just for everything to end of him being in a coma. And this also has been debunked recently when Ash finally became the world champion and he isn't the main character anymore. So in some crazy universe that the writers would do this plot twist, they would most likely do it at the end, which obviously didn't happen because he became the champion and, well, retired pretty much. So now it's pretty much confirmed that Ash isn't in a coma all along, which is good. I'm thankful, because that freaking theory has been circulating for the past, honestly, since the dawn of Pokemon, really. Everyone is just saying coma. Listen, it's not that deep, guys. It's a kid's show. Calm the frick down. Anyway, that's all the bustin' I got for you. If you enjoyed, make sure you guys smash that like button like I smashed your mom last night, and subscribe to my OnlyFans. Thank you for watching. See you later, weebs. せーの、でもそんなんじゃダメ、もうそんなんじゃほら、心は進化する